Cheers. I'm having a glass of wine tonight. I've been working very hard on the field. Let's just move this back a little bit so I can, there we go. I think that's better. Yes, that's better. Right, so this is the second part of the Peggy Trouser Sew Along, the Sew Over It pattern. The link is in the description box below, as is the link to buying me a cuppa or a coffee. So this is now part of the way that I make money. So I did think about making these as a paid thing so people could only see them if they subscribed and paid, but then I thought, no, I want it to be out there for everyone. So if you can afford to, please do buy me a cuppa, and that makes it available to everybody and helps me keep doing them. And yeah, so last sew along that we did for the Peggy trousers, we got up to the point of me needing a zip and then realizing I don't have a zip. So I've now got a zip, and we are going to, in today's session, we're going to do the fly. That's what we're going to do. I'm very tired, so I don't think I'm going to go beyond the fly tonight. I think that's probably not wise. But just reading through the instructions before I went live, I thought, do you know what? Let's do the fly. And then the next few things are really simple. So you're just doing some pleats and some darts. So we could do those on our own, and then we come back to joining the trouser legs together and then doing the waist. So for the third one for next week. So that's what I thought we'd do today. I can see a few of you have joined, so let's see who's joining tonight and where you are tuning in from. Always lovely to see. I am very annoyed about my trousers because as I was just doing my prep just before the we went live, I did, as far as I was aware, pattern match these checks. Oh diddly no, I didn't. So I did, I was cutting everything I thought I did, but look, not completely pattern matched, are they? Now, that said, this won't bother me. I'm not that fussed about everything being so perfect, and only a sewer will absolutely analyse whether they've been pattern matched, but given that most of the population do not sew, I think I'll get away with it fine. But it's still a bit annoying, especially when I thought I had actually done it, but it shows you I didn't do that bit where I pulled back. You know when you put the two layers of fabric together and then you peel back and you sort of pin it in a few stages just to really make sure that the checks are lining back up? I didn't do that. I lined up everything at the selvage. I thought about where things met. Didn't work, did it? Hello in Mitcham, Surrey. Thank you for saying where you are from, where you're coming to and joining in on the chat. It's always so much fun, more fun for you if you're watching the live, if you do chat to each other. You don't have to chat to me. Often I'm looking or I miss things, but yeah, do chat. And I know that some people really did make friends on this sew along. Hello in Michigan. Hi there. Oh, it's the morning, I guess, there for you, is it? Or is it lunchtime? Right, so let's start. Now I'm going to have to read the instructions out loud and then afternoon, okay, and then I'm gonna read the instructions and then we're gonna do those stages. So I have, this is where I've got to. I think I did do a little bit extra. Yes, I did. Naughty Lisa. Did I stitch that? I seem to have pinned that already. I'm a bit confused now. I'm like, oh, what have I done? Oh yes, I know. Right, let's take that out. I was sort of trying to think through the stages so that I didn't make a numpty out of myself in front of you all. So one thing I've already gone ahead and done is I've stitched the zip onto the zip placket, which was step 10. No, not step 10. When did the zip come on? Oh yeah, step 14. So snip off the extra zip tape. Oh right, okay, no, we've not done that. Okay, so laying the zip placket out flat and the curved edge on the left hand side as you look at it, zip facing up, lay the zip aligning it with the overlocked edge on the placket, and then down the right hand side of the zip, you're going to stitch and you tuck that tape in at the top. So yeah, I've just stitched along there. Then snip off the extra zip tape at the base of the placket. Always makes me nervous because obviously at that point you can then go off, but we're going to be stitching over that. In the meantime though, we just need to be careful that we don't just go woo with the zip and pull it off. Okay, so that's where I got to. That's where the point that you need to get to then continue with me. So then I'm going to lay the trousers the right sides up. So I've got my trousers there, lovely jubbly, with working on the left hand side, which is the right hand side as you look at it from that side, but if you think about the left hand side as you're wearing it. So with right hand sides together, align the zip placket with the left hand trouser front edge. I think it is this. The top edge of the zip placket should sit about 1 centimetre below the waist edge of the trouser front. Okay, so the top of the zip placket, that's this, needs to sit 1 centimetre below the top waist edge of the trousers. I'm squeaking again on my bench against my radiator. And then we are going to pin. We're lining up. I don't know why I'm shouting. I'm shouting at you, aren't I? People in the back, can you hear me? Shouting. So then we're going to pin it upwards. So we're going to just pin along that edge. Okay, like a so. So we've pinned that along there. So I've lined up that left edge there with the overlocked edge of the zip placket. We're going to use a standard zip foot to do this because we're going to sew it at 1 centimetre seam allowance, and we will have to, at one point, we're going to have to put the needle into the fabric, lift up the presser foot and move that zip pull down. I'm going to move it down a bit now because that zip pull's going to get in the way. Oh, I've not put any foot back on. I was like, oh, that looks strange and naked because there's nothing on there. Right, there we go. Okay, so I've got a nice 10mm mark on the left hand side of my foot here, so I'm going to use that. I'm starting at the top of the zip placket. I'm going to do a nice little reverse to secure him. My washing machine is now beeping, so just ignore the beeping. Okay. And down we go. It does feel like I'm quite close to those teeth, but anyway. I'm doing what you say, Mr. Instructions. Okay, I'm getting quite close now to that zip. So I'm going to stop now, put the needle in, lift up the presser foot and close that zip. Easier said than done. Let's give myself a bit, sometimes it feels a bit tight. You will close, there we go. If it sometimes feels a bit tight, you might not have lifted the needle up enough. So you might put it all the way down, but if you put it all the way down, it's then not going to give you enough space to pull the fabric. It's just all a bit tight. So just, as long as its needle's still in the fabric, just lift it up a little bit. Oh, that's driving me mad. I'm squeaking, sorry. Every time. Oh, wait a second. Just realised that is in my concentration. I've completely gone off track. I'm just going to do that again. Going back. There we go. So number 10. Keeping it on number 10, 1 centimetre seam allowance. Go as far as you can. If you can peel back the other side of the seam allowance. You should be able to get right to the end of the zip placket. It is a bit fiddly. Oh gosh, I just didn't pull myself off. But you should be okay because your seam allowance along that on the trousers is 1.5 centimetres, and this is 1 centimetre, so it should be okay. You should be able to fit that in. Okay. Let's trim off our loose ends. Okay, so you can see that that's sitting 1 centimetre down below. Now, we're going to open out the zip placket and understitch the seam allowance to the zip tape. Okay, so now we're facing it on this side and we are going to understitch along here so that we're understitching the seam allowance, that's going that way. So go to the right side and you want to make sure you're pulling it really open, and we're essentially understitching the zip tape and the seam allowance to this side. Left-hand trouser front edge, yes, exactly. Again, when you come to the zip pull, you might find that you're gonna have to move it out the way. It was in my way just then. As far as I can, and then let's trim that. So that's just going to keep that nice and flat on that side of the fly. Okay, let's trim those threads off. So that's just understitched along there. Okay, so dum-de-lum, number 17. Now what we're doing, we're marking the centre front line on the left-hand trouser front edge with chalk or pins. To help you do this, you can mark the seam allowance in on your pattern. Oh yeah, you could cut the seam allowance off. Yeah, this is the front, kind of annoying. So what it's saying is if you lay this on, you can then peel back the seam allowance and you can locate the centre front, or you can so you can lay it over and then fold back the seam allowance to then get your centre front edge, and then you can mark that with chalk, or which I just put a few markers in before, so you can mark that with chalk or you can just do a pin line. So you might want to do both actually. I found it quite useful to do chalk, so I've got that to mark, kind of to see, but then the pin line is going to make it super easy for the next stage. So I'm just going to mark that along there. Okay, so that's the centre front edge there marked. And then lay both the trouser fronts out flat with right sides up. Okay, so that's like that. So they're now right sides facing up, and overlap the right trouser. So that's the bit that we haven't yet done anything with, or we've put the facing on, but we haven't done anything else with the zip. And we're going to overlap the right trouser front so that it sits flush with the pin line. Okay, so that's coming and going over there. If you think about a fly, the zip is always closed and that front bit does overlap slightly. So that's what we're doing there. Now we're going to pin through all the layers on the right hand side, like that. So pin through all the layers. Okay. And there. So all the layers are pinned through there. So let's show you that. Okay. Number 18, flip the right hand side trouser front over the left hand side, so it's now wrong side up. Okay, and this should reveal the facing, the zip facing, and the placket, so the zip facing. Fold the zip facing back and pin the zip tape to the zip facing. Just 1 second, just checking that. Okay, I'm going to pin that there. It's awkward, this. And if I look at the instruction, I remember this, that we just like, how do we make this super easy to see? Very difficult to see. Very, very difficult. I think it's not actually meant to be to the zip facing, it's meant to be to the zip placket. Because you're meant to fold this back here and then pin the zip tape to the zip facing, but not the facing to the zip placket. I'm going to have to email Sew Over It in the morning and be like, that's wrong. Because if you're folding the zip facing back, you need to be able to reveal that. Okay, never mind. So we're just pinning it all the way down the zip placket. Okay, let me hold that up for you so you can see. So this is my zip facing. He's folded over to that side. Can you see? So I folded it back over. It revealed the zip tape here, and then I've pinned it to the zip placket. I think there's a typo there. It might be that I'm looking at an old version, because I've just got an old version on Dropbox, well, a version on Dropbox, so it might be correct in yours. Okay, now we have to fold the right hand trouser back so the fronts are right side up again. And we're going to take out these pins that we put through all the layers. Take those out. No, it was meant to be on the facing. It was meant to be on there. Thinking that can't be right because I'm not actually attaching it to anything. Okay. I think the instructions, it was saying we needed to move the placket out of the way. Bear with everybody. Doing a zip, this is the first time I've done one of these for about 4 years, and I'm doing it live. Who else watching this has enjoyed doing a zip facing? A zip fly zip rather. Anyone else like doing these? I can't imagine there would be anyone who would like doing these. Right. Let's move this back. Right, now I'm going to do what it says and shut up about moaning. I'm going to put it on the zip tape. Zip tape to the facing. It's almost bending it back like that. You've only got a little bit of zip tape showing, a smidgen. So you have got to be quite precise. Okay, corrected. Okay, so now we're going back and we open the zip tape. I'm going back like that. Oh, I've got a little bit of a pinch there. I just need to make sure that I've gone through too many layers. You do need to make sure that you're only pinning through the facing, not through the trouser front. So now I can take those back out again. Fold the right hand trouser over and fold the facing down as short. Okay. Make sure not to read the ones in it. Fold the right hand trouser front over the left once more and fold out the facing as shown. Open the zip through So open the zip and just the zip tape and facing and stitch the zip in place. Okay, so we're coming back here, that's right, so that we can actually see. We're going to open the zip. Pull this all down. I've caught a little bit there. So you sort of need to do that like that so that you can get all the position right, but then you'll need to have everything nice and open afterwards so that you can get in there with the machine. So now this is what it would look like. Okay. Don't stitch too close to the teeth. Fine. So I just think that I'm just going to change that because I think it could be a little bit more straight on there, a little bit straighter rather, on my zip facing. Okay, so I'm going to take this foot off. I'm going to put a zip foot on, and even though I don't want to go really close to the teeth, it will still make this easier for me. So I'm now going to go about 3 to 4 millimeters from the zip teeth. Oops. Okay. Okay, you might find that if you were to hand tack this in place, it could be a bit simpler because it is quite fiddly as we come towards the end. Right, I've put the needle in and I'm going to move that up. Again, I'll probably put it in a bit too much. Move the zip closed again, just so that I can get past this bit. There we go. Move that back over to that side. Lower my presser foot back down. And away I go. I realised that for something like this, it's much better if you can see from a top angle. This is why the stitch school is so much better for this sort of thing, because you can actually see what's happening on it. Right, that's it, stitched, lovely. Okay, so I've now stitched it to the facing. Sorry about the confusion there. Yeah, their instructions are right. Theirs as in ours. It used to be ours. Open the zip and through we've stitched that. We've finished the seam. Fold the zip facing back along the seam so it's now right sides together with the right hand trouser front. Okay, so we're folding the zip facing back. Let's open that, and it's going back like that. So there's the zip facing, and it's coming back right sides together like that along that waist edge, and we're going to pin it in place. And then we're just going to stitch across. Pin in place with a centimetre seam alert, stitch for 3 centimetres from the fold along the top facing edge. Okay, so we're just going to stitch that little bit along that top edge. Put my regular foot back on. Okay, so just stitching across here, centimetre seam allowance. I just realised I've got a lot of threads I've not cut off. Let's cut those tails off. I like to cut as I go so that we've not got endless threads getting in the way. Reverse, whoops. Okay. into the seam allowance at the waist edge up to the end of the short line of stitching. Make sure not to cut through the stitches. Okay, so then we're clipping all the way along. Turn through to the right side and press flat. Let's just clip that bit there so that it comes through. Okay, and turn that through. Like that, okay? Just going to take that corner off just to make that a little bit easier. There's too much bulk there to fit in to that very small space. This is not a particularly, this would be an unusual thing to do on a fly. It's because of the nature of the style of the Peggy trousers, this little step here. So if you're watching this video because it's got a fly on it and you're thinking, oh, I'll do that again on my next trousers, this bit here would be not relevant. Okay, so top stitching the facing in place. So now we've got to make it look like a fly. The zip is all in, everything is kind of in its position as it should be. That's going to be annoying me until you get that. I need to cut, I think, a little bit more off that. There's just too much bulk in there. Let's come down here, get a bit more off there and a bit more off there. And I'm just going to tease that little bit there. Okay. Right, so right sides together, lay the trouser fronts out flat and the zip closed. Let me close you, Mr. Zip. Mr. Zip is now closed. Using the chalk, mark a line 3 centimetres from the opening of the trousers. So it meets the bottom of the zip opening and we're making everything flat. Okay, so what we're going to do is from this edge here, we're going to mark 3 centimetres. Actually, I'm just going to move that. I think I'm going to do it that way because it's easier on my chalk and with this ruler. So I'm just going to start by just making a few marks at where the 3 centimetre takes us to. Okay, and then I'm going to join that line. So this is the stitch line. This is the line that you see on your fly. Take that zip down a bit. Let's get a bit bulky there. So this is important that we get this. We get a really nice line to follow because you're going to see this top stitching. What is going on here? I think I'm actually finally running out of chalk. I've had this for about 10 years, this thing. And it's finally giving up the ghost. Okay, so I've got a nice line there, but then we are going to have to curve this so it meets the bottom of the zip opening. So the bottom of the zip opening is here. So we're going to then have to create a nice little curve. So a little curve round there. So let me show you. It's not the neatest chalk line, but it's coming down here and then it's curving there. So that's the top stitching on the fly. So we're now going to pin through all these layers on that chalk line. Because the purpose of this top stitching is to get everything together on the right hand side of the trousers. Okay. This point, rearrange the pins one by one so they don't go through the placket layer and they just go through the front and the facing. Okay, so then what we're going to do is one at a time. We're going to peel back, remove a pin, make sure we're not on the placket, and put it back in on the facing. Next pin, take it out, feed your finger behind so that you're making sure you're freeing up the placket, and let's keep that close, and moving down to the next pin. So I'm taking that pin out and making sure I'm not on the placket, I'm just on the facing, and then I'm going to put the pin back in again, and then taking the next one out, making sure it's not on the placket, putting the pin back in just through the facing, and then the same with the final one. So just releasing the placket. So now the placket is not pinned in all those layers. Let's move the placket out the way so that we know we're not going to stitch it, and then we can always just pin it out the way, in fact. Okay. And then we're going to top stitch along our chalk line. So when I put my pins in, I put them facing upwards towards the waist seam so that I knew that I was going to be able to take them out really easily. I want to undo, I'm going to undo that. It's just a bit bulky at the top of mine. Okay, so I'm lined up now with the chalk line. It's in the middle of my foot there. Do a little reverse. And then slowly coming down. So there's no rush. You want to do this nice and slowly. There's not loads of space at the edge of the zip facing here, so we don't want to miss it. I should say that I've also got this on a nice long stitch length of about stitch length 3. I just find it looks better for top stitching, but on the whole I generally stitch at this stitch length anyway. Okay, make sure that placket is well and truly out the way. And now we're going to come round this curve. I'm going to do it nice and slowly so I get a nice smooth curve, following my chalk line. And if you're worried about your chalk line being a nice shape, you can always make yourself almost like a paper cutout first and use that as a guide. There we go, little reverse, and we are done. So I'm gonna, that chalk line will brush off. I've still got those pins in on that side. I don't know if they're meant to be gone by now, but let's get rid of them. Let's cut off this. There we go. Oh, exciting! Okay, there is the fly. Okay, so if we open that out, this is annoying, let's put that thread on. If we open that out, you've got your placket there. Still got 5 million pieces of thread on there. That's gone. If you open your placket, you've got the placket there. There is the zip attached to that side. And there it is closing. Let's just ignore the fact that we've not got everything lining up. Wow. Well, that, like I said, that's the first placket I have done in about 4 years. But if you break it down into stages, it's not that hard. It's just getting your head around it. And I think when you read the instructions through before you're actually doing it, it almost doesn't help to do that because you're not at that point for you to then get your head around it. So next up is, let's do the pleats. We can do the pleats, can't we, together? Oh, sorry, there's another little bit. So closing the zip, laying the trousers out flat. So you can see the curved edge of the zip placket, and following the curve of the facing, stitch the facing and the zip placket together for a few centimetres, not to catch the front of the trousers as you do this. Okay, so we're just catching here at the bottom. Just that little bit there, that's all that is. So I'm not going to do that now, but you just need to stitch, just joining the zip placket and the zip facing a little bit, just to anchor them together. So the front pleats, we have got, if we're going these right sides together, align the two outer pleats and pin in place. Okay, so we should have had circles on here, but I don't seem to have them. Never mind. Let me just get my trouser front here, and I will mark my circles. Okay, the two outer pleat lines. So let's go, what did I do? Size 10. Did I talk to you about what size I was making on these? I'm making a 10, but I've made it into a 12 at the bottom area. Right, I've marked those circles with pins. Okay, so then we fold this right sides together, lining up those two notches. And then you're stitching all the way down to the pins. So we need to make sure that the pins, put a little chalk marker out of this one, are going to a line. This is actually when using a check is easier, because you've got points in the check to help you. Okay. That's one side, and then you just repeat that on the other side. So they're basically from the out. Sorry, was that a call? I've refused the call. So from the outer two pleats, the two notches, you're going to align those, and the same on that side. And then we're going to stitch those together. So following that, if you wanted to, you could draw yourself a stitch line from the notch to the circle, or you can see that what the marking is at the top where it lines on the notches, and you can just keep that parallel all the way. So for me, it's on 20. Obviously for different sizes it would be different. So I'm just going to keep that seam allowance edge. One pleat done, so you can repeat that with the other side, on the other side of the trousers as well. And then we have got to press everything, and then we've got to do another little pleat as well, sorry, dart on the back as well. So go ahead and do that, and then next week we'll be joining the inside seams and the outside seams. I hope you found that kind of easy to follow. It was very full on today. I don't think I can do much waffle and chat when I'm doing a zip placket. I don't know if many people could, so sorry if it was a bit boring, but hopefully it was useful. Certainly to watch back if you're doing a zip placket again, because it's similar, apart from that little bit where we kind of bag it out at the top, because the waist facing kind of it's because there's no waistband, it's a waist facing. So it's just how it finishes at that point. So next week we'll join the inside and outside leg seams, and we'll put the elastic in. Not over ambitious, is it? How amazing though if we did do all of that, because then I would have essentially made these in about 3 hours. No, that's not going to happen, is it? That's really quick. I know I go quickly. what did I want to say? Yeah, sorry, I said that I was going to do a nice easy pencil skirt, but sew along. But I just, at the moment, I think it's getting to that point now with my flowers that it's just getting really busy. And I think me trying to commit to more than one sew along a week is just not going to happen. So maybe I'll do that as a nice easy sew when we finish the Peggy trousers. But my Tuesday night is pretty much regular, apart from when it's the holidays, the school holidays. I can pretty much always do this. So thank you so much for joining, guys, and thanks for all the thumbs up and likes. Don't forget to subscribe. Link to the Peggy trousers is below, as is my Buy Me a Coffee page, and I will see you all in a week's time for finishing these off. Bye. Oh.